to me. I'm going to just mute. Just to make sure that you all know that we are recording this session, and that if you do not want to be in the recording, that you have to just let us know. Okay, so the recording has started. Okay. Mrs. Talliard is from the Western Cape. She's in the support department there. They help you guys with academic literacy, with research. I'm very honored that she has made time to come and speak to you guys. So please listen to her and heed what she's got to say. And she's got a wealth of knowledge. Thank you. Over to you, Mead.
Thank you. I am just going to put off my camera. I just feel uncomfortable, and I'll most probably more concentrate more on my face than on the program if I have to be on camera. Now, I'm involved with the Western Cape support postgraduate support program, and I have been since 2017. So I promise you, you'll have to be very original to make a new mistake. I've seen most of them, but I have great hopes of you. Maybe this is the year I get new problems. Now, the aim and objective of this class is to look at the various forms of support and then the specific support offered by our Writing Center. And then, of course, I would like to get feedback from you about what kind of support do you need outside of the support provided by Karen, and what would be the best form of communication with you. Now, this, I think, will be a short summary of the various kinds of support that there are. The library. Today, I had time to attend some of your sessions, and Karen spoke about Miss Milan later on speaking to you about the library. She's going to speak, supposed to speak to you about how you can get information from the library. I want to bring to attention the fact that there are lib guides. Your department has the best lib guide on Harvard referencing of all the lib guides that I've seen. So it's worth your while to download it. And here I'm going to sound like the old teacher I am. But remember, when your work is assessed, it's the easiest place to mark you either up or down, to concentrate on, and especially in the beginning, on your referencing, because even a comma or a semicolon colon in the wrong place is an error. So download that specific lib guide and keep it with you. Under the lib guides, and that was a tip I got from Dr. Stander, you have access to the master's and PhD thesis and dissertations. The problem sometimes is that honestly, we don't know how to write. I assume, and up till now, I've no reason to doubt myself on this assumption, because you are mostly employed people and you've been employed for some time. You are quite at ease at writing reports in at least formal language. The problem is that academic language is a totally different kettle of fish. And sometimes it's a good idea to say, I am struggling with this and this module. Can I find a master's and see how did they formulate? How do they write about? And the lib guides, especially if you can find a lib guide either by one of your supervisors or a thesis or dissertation, either by your supervisor or one that has been supervised by the person supervising your module, you'll get a good idea of what kind of writing is expected of you. Then I see that later today you have a career and study counseling session. In the sessions that I run, I try and get in people who employ postgraduate students and have them speak to the students, even if it's only for 15 minutes, about I employ postgraduate students because I expect X, Y, and Z of a postgraduate student. So but please make use of the counseling services. This is the counseling service of the Western Cape. And then, sorry, I didn't adapt this. I listened to Richard speaking to you yesterday. I only could listen to a part of it, of the advanced, the programs, especially for the postgraduate students. I can't emphasize enough how important it is that you do that specific one, but that word for postgraduate students. At your level, you can't afford to hand in something that's not absolutely professional right from the start. So please, this is the old link. I only listened last night and I didn't adapt it, sorry. It's now HDVO VOH at unisa.ac.za. Then what is academic literacy? Wiedemann says that it is to make meaning of an academic text beyond the level of the sentence. And from that meaning, you have to be able to develop an argument. In your own data collection or in the articles that you are going to read, you have to be able to distinguish between essential and non-essential information. And that argument must be within the context of your discipline and your ideology. What I find, especially in the first 3-4 months, and Dr. Stander can disagree with me if she wants to, but often you think that it's enough to be able to summarize an article. It's not enough. You have to try and put the article within context. Where does that fit into the greater part? Currently, I'm working on academic integrity for you for tomorrow morning. And I had to make cutoff date because I can't speak to you about academic integrity without speaking about ChatGPT. So when you have an article, you need to know where does it fit into the greater part. Now the question often is, who needs academic literacy support? Let me tell you, everybody needs it. I've made a very, very unsophisticated matrix about content, which is supplied by Dr. Stander and the other lecturers, versus language usage. If you do hand in very good content and your language reveals that you can actually build up a bigger picture, you most probably 70 plus 75 plus. If it's partly summarized, partly cut, yes, partly summarized, you have Article 1, you refer to Article 1, then you refer to Article 2. But the reader can't see why did you mention both those articles. If you're lucky and they're very sympathetic, it can be a 60 plus. If you merely mention the articles and there's no link between your ideas, is 55 minus. Dr. Stander, I would like your feedback on this level. Do I understand this correctly?
Say again.
That when that there is a matrix, as I've shown just now, there's a relationship between content and language usage. And it is the language usage that sometimes lifts an essay or an assignment in that case from
Yes.
a 58 to a 60.
Yes, it does definitely. I'm just on your screen now. We can't see anything except the team screen though.
Okay, now I switch to the team screen. I feel I'm not speaking to anybody.
It's unfortunate, one of these things when you do these online classes that people are quite quiet. But yes.
No, I understand that. It says I'm sharing. Let me see what I'm sharing. Do you see my screen now?
Yeah, now we can see. So
Thank you.
I do agree. Sometimes, even though the content of something may be correct, the way in which you say it and or the way that it comes over, it's not very clear that you are trying to convey something. It's the same. My son the other day came home and his answers to a question. It's very simple questions. He's in grade 4. It's correct, but he didn't answer in a full sentence. So it was, what is the difference between a road and a pedestrian walkway, you know? And the one he said cars and other one people. And he didn't get the mark for it. So the content is correct, right? Cars versus people, but the language that he used was incorrect.
And it's a very good exercise that you've done there, example there, because an answer like that would actually, on that kind of level, would actually be um, 55 minus on postgraduate level, if I'm correct.
Yeah, right, it would definitely be. But this was now grade 4, but yes, I
Yes.
do, yeah. So, yeah, if I answer like that in any of your honors modules, you would just not get a mark for it.
Yes. And even disjointed sentences where because we are, when we do the sessions, we are going to, an academic paragraph has a certain structure. And I can remember when I did my master's, I couldn't believe that after so many years of working with language, they had us listen to about an hour about a paragraph. But now that I've seen how disjointed paragraphs can be, it's very important. So who needs academic literacy support? If you have 55 and you want to move into 60, if you have 65 and you want to move into 70, you will need to upgrade your language usage. And that is hard work, especially because academic language is so unforgiving. Um, Therefore, we have developed a read and review, which I will explain to you. But let's first have a look at what then is research. And it's more or less this circle. You start off, I suppose, these first theories and articles that you have to read will be this bit. From that, you need to you have to find that economically viable goal that you were speaking about in the group work. From that, we make some predictions. An easy one that we often have is, if we have financial aid, more people will become entrepreneurs. So we make a prediction. Then somehow we test our predictions and we collect our data. At that stage, you will most probably go back to your hypothesis, or you will find you haven't read enough and you will go start right there. But somewhere in your year, you will move on to this, where you decide you have either, and this is more on a master's or PhD level, you confirm an existing theory at honors level, or you can even be very upgrade to a master's and have a new theory published. How does that fit in with the existing theories? And the circle will start again for somebody else. So that's more or less the field where you are. On the basis of this field where we are. This is what it looks like. In the Western Cape, we have designed a program that runs through that, and we discuss this in detail, exactly what the research process is. We look at the academic writing conventions, the referencing style, plagiarism, introductions and conclusions. And if you think life is difficult, wait until you see what they expect of you in an introduction. Then we have the literature review with critical thinking skills. How do I use my keywords? And what's my theoretical and conceptual framework? Oh, sorry. We look at the data collection, the data analysis, and we have a long conversation about coding. Then, right at the end of the year, when you have to have your interviews, some groups turn up and they say, ma'am, what, or Mimi, what do they mean by coding? How do I code? How do I find a theme? And then we discuss it again. A big part of it is we also speak about ethical clearance in more detail, because ethical research has to do with it being ethical in the workplace. Now, we spoke about the language usage earlier. Now, we offer a read and review function that's based on forensic linguistics. I put it in inverted commas because it's not truly forensic linguistics. But much research has been done on analyzing good academic writing. So what is good academic writing? And from those articles, we have this function of read and review. That does not mean that I will write your essay or your assignment. I will not write your report. It means that before you hand it in, I give you feedback on the academic conventions. An example would be, a few years ago, I had an honors student who now could apply to do her master's. And she contacted me. But in the few years since I've had her, she's completely forgotten about the sequence of presenting a research proposal and how to reference correctly. And that's the kind of feedback I can give her. Style, sometimes people lapse into colloquialisms, informal language. I think instead of it is said, the importance of the conceptual framework. If you have a keyword and that specific word has a meaning, the meaning of that word can't be adapted or changed throughout the written work. And then, of course, we have interesting exercises on how to compile a coherent argument. I want to give you, and this is why I am working from my screen. I want to show you the art, what we work from with this read and review. It's from another department, but it really works very well. I listened to the where you add advice on how to give positive feedback. Now, I get bits and pieces from most uh, most postgraduate. So I see all kinds of documents, and this one I find really interesting. For instance, if you have a title, they have a different, they were uh, randomly, they were put into groups and randomly assigned somebody's research report to read. And this was a way of writing it, and then they had to give them feedback, which is a bit different from what you are doing. But what this document does, it gives us an idea of how to tackle the full assignment bit by bit, what must be in each one. And it also gave me guidelines, because we do an exercise about reading uh, uh, an abstract, because people think they have to concentrate on writing the abstract. But when you have to choose and select articles, it's important that you can actually, you must have the skill that by reading the abstract, you know whether that article is suitable for your study or not. So this is an example of work I've done with a student. She had something like, she wanted to study gambling addiction in Soweto, and it should have been a qualitative study. Now, these are the three aspects that we want from the title. You must have a construct from your discipline. There must be a setting and demographics, and there must be an indication of the study design. In my reading of published reports, I know this is not one of the 10 commandments. But if you keep to this, to these requirements, you are disciplining yourself to think clearly. Now, this was her first draft. We had a meeting, and I asked her the following questions. Is gambling addiction a construct? I don't know. And even if I've known, I couldn't say yes or no. That's not what I am paid for, and I can get into serious trouble if I can't do that. Soweto, according to my knowledge, is not a homogeneous society. I get the idea there are people from various faiths, with various incomes. So can your study cope with such a wide sample and demographics. And those were the questions I asked, and she had to go back to her work and think about whether she had defined her population and her sample correctly. And then qualitative, that really is a very, very wide concept. Um, it includes various ways of determining trends and attitudes. So you cannot, if I say I've done a qualitative study or I am going to do a qualitative study, it can't, it's too vague. It's not precise enough. So we get to the final feedback. She kept to her construct, and then she changed the setting and the demographics. She decided on some or other suburb within Soweto and decided on which group she is going. She doesn't indicate the sample she will indicate later on, but at least the demographics of the people that she's going to study. And she indicates whether that observational is correct or not is not for me to say. But I think Dr. Stander can agree with me that observational study is a far better indication that the student has thought about what's happening in their essay, in their assignment and thesis, than merely qualitative study.
The one thing, Mimi, if you just go back to that slide,
Yes.
is the age group.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what would you have said about the age group?
You are not likely not to get ethical clearance for the age group. They would be considered to be vulnerable
Vulnerable.
population. Yeah.
Okay. But do you see that if the student have that that mistake in the title, at least this gives the lecturer a better idea of where the
Yes.
student needs guidance than with a first draft.
Yes, definitely. I agree.
And that is what we must do. That's how I see read and review. At least if, because you are going to make mistakes, and especially because I am not allowed. Dr. Stander will fire me spectacularly. I heard you speaking about a toxic environment. I'll have to go and look for a toxic environment that will still give me a job. Because if I give you advice, but at least this is a better one than the first one. At this stage, are there any queries about the read and review function?
No, they just all want to get hold of you and get on your program.
That's nice of
So,
them. Um, I'll, You have my email address. Will you put my email,
Yeah,
my
I've done
Unisa
it.
email in the chat line,
Yeah.
and then I can send them the link.
Yeah, no, well, definitely. Tumela just asked about the 70-year-olds. If they, even if they have a short mind, Tumela, it's the same like when you're working with children. So they are still considered vulnerable just because of their age. There's certain things that make a vulnerable person, or it's a classification for vulnerable person. So if you, for example, do not have a literacy level exceeding grade 7, you are also considered to be vulnerable. So even if older people still have a sharp mind and are still doing stuff, they are vulnerable. We generally speaking, research, especially in the commerce department, would not go anything younger than 18 or over 65. Okay.
It's
And Mimi,
interesting.
yeah. And then Mimi, they ask how long does it take for you to give them comments?
We are allocated an hour per student. So what you will, I can't, you can't send me 27 pages. Send me your first, your introduction or the first bit, say 2 pages. Then I can go through that in detail, and then we make a, a, a team's discussion, and we discuss it verbally. That must be I have to make the appointment because it has to be cleared by JARC, and then we have the discussion, and it's usually recorded so that you can listen to it. But this kind of feedback, you usually, there is a problem that they worry that you become dependent on us. Usually, I find, especially, you will find a master's student links onto you because they feel that they are working on one thing. But you have so many modules. You might want to see me twice for one assignment, but you don't have time to latch onto me. And what I would, you are anyway, seem to me, in groups, that the group tells me we have a problem writing an introduction, and then we have a group discussion on the introduction or the research question or whatever. And don't even think about speaking to me about the research objective and research questions separately, because the verbs in the research objection must line up with the verb in the research objective. But I strongly believe in this read and review. What we also have is this. If you send me a research, this was now a research report, you can see sometimes I feel sorry for you and I rewrite the whole sentence. That's when it's grammatical and, oh, I just feel sorry. This is why you need to do that course about the Microsoft Word for postgraduate students, because you need to be able to work with accept and reject changes. Say, for instance, the aim of the research will show how, I don't know what that person, but say, for instance, you wanted to keep that sentence, then you it must reject the change I've suggested. So for this kind of, you need to know how to work with the review and how to reject and accept the changes. Are there any questions? I can't see you. Oh, I suppose.
No, they don't have questions at the moment.
Okay. Then, the next thing that I want to try this year is to use your plagiarism report, the Turnitin report, as an educational tool. It's a new movement in academic support. When we, tomorrow we will show, I will show you, and I suppose the other lecturers will go on with that, but there are different kinds of plagiarism. Now, you get your Turnitin report, and they merely show you that this and this comes from that and that report. But it's not always, you need to know, what have I done wrong here? What kind of plagiarism did I commit? So that you can identify the problem area and then have support to develop the right skill. And for that, we will need to work through, say, 2 or 3 paragraphs where I show you how to identify the problem and then how to develop the right skills. I'm sorry, somebody is not muted. So after your Turnitin report, because Karen, as I understood it previously, they get a Turnitin report for themselves and then they get a final report. And in that gap between the first report and the one that they hand in, this is now an example of a hypothesis. There is a need to the Turnitin report properly. Example of a prediction. I predict that if we can help students to develop the right skill, the level of plagiarism, unintended plagiarism, will go down. Now, the road ahead, we need better communication with the students. And for that matter, actually with the lecturers, because some lecturers are, they don't know about the support that we can offer. And then I know it's very difficult to do it online, but there must be opportunities for students to present their own research. My children were at the residential university close by, and they, every Tuesday, it didn't matter whether you were an honors or a master's student, you had the opportunity to present what you were doing to a group of people. And because it was a residential university, they actually enticed the people with something to eat. Online, you will have to support the closest deli yourself. But because of, well, in my daughter's case, because she presented part of her research, she was actually offered a job. And from that, she developed a career in a different area. But UNISA, especially because we do research in Africa about African problems, it's important that we share our research, even if it's only on an honors level. Now I can go back to your faces. And do you have any questions at all?
I've been asking for different questions in the chat in the meantime.
Okay.
But,
Okay, I see somebody answered the one about the MS Office.
there's also in our admin team, there is also Adolf has also uploaded different courses that they have developed. I'm putting them in here again for the students that might have missed it. So just in case you don't go, you can't see it, they've got their different open virtual hub links are also in there. And then Prof. Cronje also gave the students some AI tools that can also help them with academic writing. I've uploaded those AI tool links to those AI tools in the chat as well.
Thank you. Gordon, I see this one. How long does it take for submitting a doc for review until we receive feedback? Melanie, Melanie, as I've said, don't send me more than 2 pages because I'm only paid for an hour. So send it to me, and on this team chat, you can make an @Mimi Taljaard or whatever. I suppose that's my name on here. And then tell me to check my emails, but usually I check my emails at least once a day. But you know, life happens, and then you don't happen to check it every day. For instance, I don't check it on a Saturday, and then on Monday I see there's a problem. So just send me a message on this chat, and I'll make a meeting with you. Okay.
Mimi, I can also add you to our honors admin team. I think you and Jock perhaps.
Yes, that would be very nice. Because the more we know what's happening, the better support we can provide.
Okay, I've added you here. I'll also create a channel where you can perhaps, I'll call it academic support perhaps.
Okay.
And then you can add all these links or things that you want to share with the students. You can add it there.
Thank you, Karen. And yes, because the regional center, thank you. The regional centers all have support teams. And that's the one thing about being online. You can also shop around until you find somebody who suits you. It sounds horrible, but sometimes people have a problem with a certain person, and being online means that you can shop around until you find somebody. But
Yes.
it's wonderful, this honors week. Every time I can't wait for it.
Thank you so much, Mimi. I have uploaded. Let me just show you that everybody can see. Here is the team. It will be here. So maybe you guys are welcome to just post and add files or special events or anything. You're welcome to add then to this academic support folder here. Then the students will see.
Thank you. Thank you.
The School of Graduate Studies has also developed a academic writing course specifically for honors and postgraduate diploma students or YouTube video. So I've also uploaded that link into this Honors Week chat, but it is here on the admin group. You can find academic writing. Also, Adolf detail is in here. They've got, oh, I'm making a mistake the whole time. I knew it. With the so they have got their own line here, so you can speak to the guys here. You can also speak to Mimi. Then it's easier, Mimi, than to try to watch the whole. You can't see my screen. Okay. Oh goodness, let's try again.
Yeah, I've stopped sharing. You can
Can you
share.
see mine again?
Yes, I can see yours.
Okay, so Mimi, you guys can post anything you feel like in this academic support. So you can contact Mimi also here. I think it's easier to contact you guys here. Then Richard and then for Adolf, you can contact on this page here. It makes it a lot easier to get hold of people if you do it this way rather than having to go through the chat.
Okay. That's wonderful.
Okay, I will. I'm just putting your email address also in there, then I can get hold of you. Guys, are there any specific questions for Mrs. Taljaard?
What I want to tell you is that the classes that we have on a well, the sessions we have on a Tuesday is 18:30 to more or less 20:30. If all of us are tired, we finish at 2000 at 8 o'clock. is there is sometimes an advantage at being out of sync with another group. Last year, you had to do your kind of literature review at the same time as another group had to do a, a argumentative essay. Now, I think Karen will agree with me that if your literature review is merely a summary of 7 or 8 articles, you belong to an academic book club without wine and cheese.
Yes.
You need to make a link. There must be an argument to your. So the two classes, the one class or the one group had a lot to say about keywords and how you use the keywords and how you leave out certain things and this and that. And the other group, but what do you do in the introduction? And I kind of sat back and they had a wonderful moment teaching each other. And we got back and then we start again according to my plan. So sometimes it's a good idea to be out of sync with what the other group is doing. The other thing is I have 5 minutes in which to say it. I'll say it in 2 minutes. Life is best understood backwards. And if you hear the questions people ask about something you've done, and you put up your hand and you start answering, you often understood the work that you've done, the whole mind shift that you had to make. You understand that a bit better. So, ladies and gentlemen, you have a wonderful
Thank you,
day
Mary.
ahead. Thank you very much.
I'm stopping the
And
recording.